buttons.
Welcome back to Exalted Essence, Crimes of Nature. Last time, the crew, having conquered the challenges within the Gunzoda Redoubt, headed out to the outsides of the Amethyst and settled down to rest after their exertions, and, well, turns out there was a bit of a delayed reply, but Luna did get back to Angler's prayer for a sign or some help of some form, and everyone had remarkably vivid and detailed dreams of different forms and compositions. At the heart of it, everyone was sort of confronting parts of their lives or parts of their identity or other things. Obsidian Shield managed to speak a little bit with his father. Thousand Miracles Yang walked back through the history of the assassin sect he was raised in. Milan saw a vision of a potential future in the realms of Civil War and made a very loud statement of how they felt on the matter. Pose saw a possible self-destructive path that his aunt was going down. Old Man cracked through and ascended to something new, some form of ascension into divine power, question mark? And then Angler, being the source of the idea, got thrown into the brain of the lunar, who was quite ruffled by the entire experience and contained multitudes, we'll put it that way. Some very off-kilter and awkward conversation was had back and forth to establish some things, but a rapport was made and some understanding reached. And there was a request made that the figure that they had been chasing and sending letters may actually be directly empowered by Malpheus in some unforeseen new manner, and has been able to detect them coming from a mile away because of them not exactly being subtle figures in the large scope of things, and asked for assistance in pinning him down and getting information and or capturing him, and that best guess is his current location is somewhere around Grey Falls. Beyond that, though, some of the other members of the crew had their own agendas, and so we rise on the next morning as the big conspiracy chalkboard is being filled out. People are being dragged back in by the collar to fill it out more. And decisions are being made about where to go next and what to do.
Can be noted Docky is unavailable this week, so
Yes.
Old Man is presumably wandered off into the wilderness to holler about newfound
Old
wisdom
Man,
for a while.
Doc has just finished a week-long marathon as of this recording and is taking a well-deserved victory nap, and Old Man can be assumed to have wandered off into the forest hooting and hollering about the universe.
As he do.
So, Paul is in the court of the Hearth as to where to go and how to respond.
How is everyone feeling about the visions they received last night?
I think Boone's fucking with us.
It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Wait, what do you mean your fault?
I asked for help.
It's an interesting idea she has about that.
I was a little frustrated how things were with the bear. And I asked for help, and it went the wrong way.
Well, at least we're alive. So it could have gone worse. Right.
Could have. But it's still not exactly thrilled. However, it might have been for the best. I'm just thought if anyone was going to get into issues with that, it would be me, not all of you. So I'm just a little annoyed.
Yeah, I think that's probably the point she was making then.
Yang, how are you feeling after what you saw?
I want to go grab someone by the collar and throttle them and tell them to fuck off and mind their own business.
Productive as always.
Mm-hmm. Obsidian, you feeling all right?
Cindy would just like look over and be like, frankly, I got the best out of this. I got closure out of mine.
Repose. Just sort of looking at what Repose is written on the chalkboard. I know ordinarily you're the one we go to for counsel, but do you want to talk?
Prolonged neutral silence, and then slow breath, slow sigh. This needn't concern you.
Just kind of silent, staring at Repose, trying to judge.
Creating a general sense of he is calm about this. This does not alarm him that he has laid this out.
Alright, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed myself, but that's okay. I have my family and my hearth. I can pull through.
Who did you see? Oh, hold on. Let me back that one up. Did Milan say what they saw?
Yeah, Milan wrote out that saw his grandmother get killed by his great aunt, and then saw the Scarlet Empress and drew a bow on her.
Are you ready for the consequences of what you did?
That requires someone to be around for it ain't that shit to matter, and oh boy, she hasn't been for the last God knows how long. Just muttering under her breath.
I really I can't even say if that was her or not, or if that was just what she represented, just what she did to all of us, and Milan's just starting to stammer and not really conveying ideas anymore, just going
Stalwart
through.
daughter leans in and just kind of puts her head on Milan's shoulder.
Going through the motions of I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety. Well, not anxiety, a lot of stress and fear.
That's anxiety.
Yes. Well,
Go put your stress for us, okay?
yep. Well, as I just confirmed speaking with grandmother, she experienced it as well, and chances are Menemen did too. So
It feels like a bigger deal, right?
I just hope something good comes out of this. But if the Empress is still around, I might not be able to go home.
Are you
Then
worried
you'd
she
be
might
a
have
criminal.
gone? Has she gone back to the island because of this?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know if that was her or not. I just, after seeing everything that happened, her face stuck in my mind, and just the anger and the rage welled back up in me after so long. After what she did to all of us.
Can you entertain a thought for me?
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw the bastardess herself in person?
That would have been when I had proposed the my huge road laws, and she had signed off on it.
Did you notice any new injuries or any new wrinkles since the last time you saw her face? That'd be a way to confirm it, because if it's different, if it has something to do that you don't remember.
Is a phenomenal point. Hey, roll me Fortitude Integrity.
Ooh! Was that for you to roll or me to roll?
For Milan to roll.
Yeah, because like if she has new features that you haven't seen, then that's probably her ghost for sure, right? In which case, yeah, we might be fucked.
Three successes.
Alright, that is exactly enough to get the base success rating. As you are thinking, you're just kind of comparing the two memories back and forth, and it has been years at this point since you last saw her. There was no real significant difference. The real thing that stands out to you is that you know for a fact, like from seeing her from a distance and things like that, she's got a huge wardrobe, like an immense one. And in a lot of ways to tie her hair, a lot of hair pieces, a lot of things. In her appearance in your dream, she looked exactly like she did when you had the audience for the romance.
No, she looked the same. Like,
Huh,
not just her. Her wardrobe, her look. Like, if you've ever seen pictures of her, she's very. She tends to set the fashion for the decades. But no, she was the same.
Okay, I think we're safe from poking the biggest sleeping giant we possibly could have. At least. Probably.
At this, Milan's going to let out a deep sigh of relief.
Stalwart daughter kind of exhales out the nose as well before giving a little bit of a lean of the head against Milan's cheek.
Where do we go from here?
Well, we still have a kingdom to. Well, several kingdoms. A conglomerate of societies to ensure the future of. Right?
At least 100. Sorry, probably shouldn't joke at this time.
I mean, I don't think anyone's actually counted. We would probably be the first ones to bother to count.
We have perhaps until calibration before we need to take hold of the Red Hand and tear it from the tyrant.
Do we know why
Until
calibration's
then.
important?
Calibration is generally important.
Alright. So it's,
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's widely propagated. Calibration is spooky time where all kinds of powerful magic bullshit can happen.
Alright, so just
And
it's auspicious
Bear-
to do it in calibration, basically.
Whatever, if he has something very large and magical he's planning on, it is probably going to be during a calibration. And Bismuth had mentioned that he had been optimistic that he might have been able to get in under time to get this upcoming.
which means either he's going to rush to do it this year, or we have successfully delayed his actions an entire year, which either of those is pretty good.
Yeah, he is either going to be in a panicked rush, or he is going to delay and give you another entire to stop him.
And
So
then
until then,
we have
continue
this
to-
third party. Angler, you mentioned something about a Malfian agent.
Yes. We're... Sorry, I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight here. Juan asked us to track someone down. Our green friend, as it were. Or at least an associate of theirs, who has been able to evade some of the more noticeable people that we associate with. But since we're lower on the totem pole, or pecking order, as it were, we might be able to find them. Just catch them off guard. And that's why I want to go to Grey Falls, because I think we need to talk with the leadership there and see if we can get some help. I'm not exactly keen on what they do, but this is bigger than petty squabbles.
We are going to need another ally.
Several.
Nodding.
Who's a likely ally?
You remember that lady you insulted about her birth?
Which one?
Yeah, the satrap.
Oh, that's gang, I didn't need to know that part. How many people have you insulted about their birth?
Honestly, mostly just her.
Cool. You mind not being in the palace when we talk to her?
I mean, why would I even come along? Yeah, I don't like her, frankly. I don't hate her, but like, I would rather just not be around her.
She's not. She's, ugh.
Yeah, this is why this is your problem, all right? If you need someone to be stabbed, cool, I got you, but I don't, but that's not really, you know?
I do.
Okay, cool.
I think
Well,
this
then
is
it would
something
seem
that... Oh, go ahead.
that proceeding to the falls to speak with the satrap would be a task suited to the more stately gentleman among us, if you will forgive that insult.
I mean, you're right.
I pride myself on my stateliness.
You wear it well. For my part, I should proceed up the way. Report of current events. I can be about to meet with you. Too long a detour?
If you are all right with traveling by yourself, unless you wish Yang to accompany you.
I can't imagine I could possibly.
Possibly.
Help?
Us or Repose?
I mean, I guess either, really. I guess I just tag along with the pros while you guys are doing the nerd thing.
Yang, when have you ever been able to explain the ways in which you are helpful?
Yeah, alright, fair enough. Let's go.
And at that, we do the awful thing of splitting the party.
Okay. One quick question is: would
Swap
Obsidian be
canoe.
taking the boat up to Grey Falls or up to the Vigil?
I forgot about Obsidian. I'm sorry. Obsidian,
It's
where do
alright.
you want to go?
I've been pretty quiet.
Bose has had a canoe for ages.
Yeah.
Canoe
Oh,
adventure.
You've had a canoe after you beat Lich?
Swamp canoe rides again.
Ah, you know Minwu.
Because of, recent developments in aquaculture technology / changing the damn map, there are water routes basically everywhere to the Hundred Kingdom at this point. So whichever way Obsidian would want to go, you could take the boat.
Obsidian hates politics. He would probably go with Repose.
Alright. Which would allow Milan to take Angler on skiff. or the
You two
cloud.
fly to Grey Falls then, and we boat up.
Alright. So, the crew returns to boat. It's happy at their return of the crew and the command. Onyx is generally quite happy to see you all intact and in one piece, and briefly questions where Old Man is before stopping mid-sentence and kind of mentally, audibly realizing, fine. If you're not worried, then I should not be worried.
He does what he do.
So, Angler and Milan be heading over to Grey Falls, while Onyx, Angler, Obsidian, and Yang would be sailing upriver towards the manse and the town.
I'm sorry, am I going 2 places?
Yes.
Did I misspeak? You should have been just going to Grey Falls.
Okay, just checking. I was taking a half a second to drink some water, and I thought I heard my name twice.
Yeah, if I said that twice, then...
Fair enough.
That's right. Angler 1 is going to Grey Falls, and Angler 2 is going to town.
Oh god, no.
Alright, so do we have a preference on which scene goes first on either side? If not, I can flip the coin.
Personally.
Lip it.
Yeah, toss up. Spin the wheel.
Alright. The monastery it is. So, just shift over our map. Since I find
Miscellaneous interaction to have out of
Sure.
the way as we
Yeah, you can also any boat stuff on the way.
as
there, you
we have left from here. Since I do have a venture that is underway, we propose we'll just kind of at some point
Yes.
very abruptly catch Obsidian's attention.
Hmm?
Obsidian?
Hmm?
What is your sword's name? And I'm supposing there is, just in character,
in
stunned
character
silence.
this silence.
Yes.
Your ship has a name. Your crew all have names. That sword's been with you longer than any of them.
Be a moment of looking at his sword. The canonical reminder of Obsidian is bad at names. Look at you, very. Feel like he gets what you're saying, but.
What about like
shrugs.
tempered will or some shit? I don't know. Like fire, you temper it and you harden it, and like that's like you know? Or like cut master.
Sort of scratching his head. Look back at Repose and would say something like, what about just ringing steel?
Well, I'm not the one you need to impress. What does it think? What does it feel?
He would look at his sword,
Oh,
looking for a response from the weapon.
I have an idea. I'm gonna take out like, what's the most auspicious number? Between
For
one through 8.
For Dragon Blood's 5.
Five iron hoops, or 5 whatever material is close to the sword hoops, and just kind of like, I guess, drill press it in them real quick. Is this a double-edged sword actually?
No,
It
it's specifically not. It's a
It's a 9-ring sword.
yes. One of like what would be the blunt side of the sword has rings through it that sort of clatter when it moves.
Is this naming thing enough for us to stop traveling and actually convene scholardom of like, what is this thing's name?
There's enough travel time that
There is going to be about 2 days, I think.
All right, we're breaking
moving
out
at
the
boat
everything.
speed.
We have the sword on a bench. We have yonder vice. We have a bit that's hard enough to go through most metals, and all that stuff. I want to upgrade Obsidian Shield Sword because apparently that's my gimmick, is by giving things names and taking them away. By the way, my crossbow's name is Namebreaker now.
Okay.
When Essence happened, that happened.
So I'm gonna preface this with the whole thing that Loon is setting up here is actually a discussion that we were having off screen.
Yeah, Loon is going to be...
of getting the
Uh,
sword
yes.
reforged into
For-
an artifact.
Yeah, for the chat, is not going to be reforging the blade in any way because yes, again, as Chad is pointing out, a 9-ring sword is very loud. That is the entire thing. Is that Obsidian wields a loud weapon because he is a tank. He's a distractor.
Yes.
And the idea was to replace the rings with jade rings.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Give me, from Yang, give me a... Let's call it Finesse Sagacity. I'll never be able to settle on one pronunciation. Roll at a difficulty of 4.
Finesse Sagacity. I'll actually get the document open.
Is it sagacity or sagacity?
So
Whichever you feel like.
Knowledge.
Finesse and sagacity.
Wizard. roll me a roll of wizard.
Finesse plus brain.
I feel like this should also be like between me and Repose as the 2 craft lads.
Well, yeah, so how this works, ventures are multi-step processes that involve many skill checks over
Wait,
time.
I just rolled 10d10. Can we just convert that to
Multiple
successes? It
people
looks like a
can,
pretty good roll.
Well, was it supposed to be 10 dice?
It's 5 plus 5.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it looks like a good roll. It looks like a really good roll.
That is the difficulty threshold the book lists for getting the attention of the unconquered sun, kind of deal.
Again? How do I keep doing this?
No. That's not what's happening. That is, you are overblowing the base difficulty by a ton, so you are able to very easily help diagnose the vibes aspect of this.
Okay, good.
Also, I did look it up. It is sagacity, so keep that in mind.
Sagacious as I am.
So
Nope.
you basically, as this name discussion is going on, and you settle on ringing steel was Obsidian's idea.
Yes.
When you mention ringing steel, as you have all of these widgets and bits and bobs hanging around, one of the rings of the blade shifts slightly, and under any other circumstance, you just go, oh, it's the settling of the waves, and it's tilting the boat a little bit. You wouldn't pay attention to it. But, like, the timing was just perfect enough that the ring just kind of tipped a little bit in the direction of Obsidian when that was said.
So when that happens, I'm gonna hold up a hand as dramatically as possible and go shh. Say that shit again.
What ringing
The
steel?
name. Yeah, shh. Do it again. With confidence. From your diaphragm.
Ringing steel.
All 9 rings tilt to the side.
Oh, baby! I look directly at Repose and just go, we got vibes, right? Vibe alert?
Nodding,
Vibe alert. All right.
nodding,
Yeah.
approving
Mhm.
gestures.
Yeah. Yo, let's make some weird shit.
Yes, how ventures work is if you exceed the difficulty on a section, you pick up some kind of bonus to carry forward,
Yes.
either in the further phases of the venture or just that gets attached to the final product.
Mm-hmm.
And the duration here is a roll per session. So for now, that's it. We've settled on the name, and the sword is very excited now. We need to let it calm back down before we start thinking about alloy selection.
You have extremely excited it. You have gotten 6 threshold successes on the first obstacle. So that converts to 6 successes of advantage at this point.
What I would
So
like to
just
do is,
note
I just have
the
a
quantity
few.
there.
I want to declare that I have a few ornate wooden boxes that just have labels on them. I'm going to write ringing steel and put the several rings in there, and then actually, can I just put the entire sword in there? And we'll just keep it in a box that has its potential name on it for a while and see what that does if it marinades in it.
You can try that if the Obsidian wants to put a sword in a box for a while.
You can keep it with you the entire time. I don't gotta take it. It's just like think of it as a really fancy sheet.
Or you could put the name on the sheath.
Oh yeah, we could put the name on the sheet. Same thing.
Jane would kind of shrug and just be like, see what happens, and would just put the sword in the box.
That looks like you're carrying a sniper rifle. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, and you can dramatically take a sword out of a box and unsheath it like a fucking anime protagonist.
Suppose we'll probably spend some time workshopping good, high-density calligraphy to fit that name into for the label.
Yeah, we're gonna be probably like, it's got a paper thing, so we just slide it and be like, no, this meaning, no, this meaning, no, write it like this.
Okay, so that is the first of the venture's obstacles out of the way. So, next would be, over the course of the day, as you're just kind of carefully taking it out, just measuring reactions, seeing if it has been, it is still pretty interesting how charged it is, how active it is, because before the idea of giving it a proper name and giving it a, identity as an object of great importance, it was just a sword. It was just kind of background radiation essence. And now, when Yang is measuring it, it is like the small god in it has woken up, or something along those lines. Just like, what? Huh? Somebody call my name? What?
I have some spectrograph, those things that you use to test hardness on metal. I've got one of those to test density of ghosts.
Yes. Just very much an.
You let a dowsing pendulum hang over the sword, and the air just starts swatting playfully at it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Batting it around.
See how
Someone
far
wants
away
to
from
fight.
center it drifts, and see if that number goes up over time.
Okay. So, on roughly, let's call it 10 or 11 in the morning, on ascending with the 6th, the crew manages to get in on the inlet off the river to the monastery, disembark, tell the crew to hold the ship down, tell Onyx to keep everything in order and everybody in charge, or safe. Walk in and make it back to the monastery. Walking through the village, I would say, Repose, give me a, how does... Hang on, I need to look at your sheet again, because I'm still getting used to what I need to call out for rolls.
What is the thing to be done?
Basically, getting the vibe of the village while you are walking
Probably
in.
finesse embassy?
Yeah, finesse embassy, and if your merits give bonuses to that, you have
I feel like the default location that my followers are stationed when they are not on hand is that they are
Is-
here.
Yeah, so you would get your followers bonus here, so it would be 2 dice. And this is a 3-die difficulty, because you know the usual vibe here.
4.
The general gist of the village response is just, oh, hey, nice to see you. It's all good to see you. It's a little surprising to see you again soon. Not like in a disapproving or a surprise way, just kind of like, oh, you're back. Huh. The other
Twice in the
vibe
same
that-
month. What?
Yeah. The kind of a vibe of like, oh, must be something important. There are a couple of people who kind of have a look along their face of like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But nothing that you can really derive any closer than that, other than there are some people who seem to look at you and not have that reaction of surprise. Well, you were able to enter through the Gate of Dawn, and the entry of the monastery is as usual, bustling with its usual initiates going around doing their errands, going to and from the storehouses, working in the crafts, standing and watching in the watchtowers. It's nearing lunch, so a lot of people are getting ready. The food is being made. You can smell. It smells like congee today for most of the kitchen galley. It's like some sort of mix of spices in it. And if, any ghost senses or anything are activated, you can see the swaths of ghost cats kind of lazing about, and several of the deceased initiates just going around, even, since this is a place where they can be out and about a little bit in the sun, going around and checking things in the day to make sure everything is okay.
Head up to the obelisk, make the appropriate observances for having returned home. Leave appropriate dried fish snack next to the wound around Chief's usual lounging spot on the obelisk.
There is a smattering of fresh blood and what looks to be a feather or two there. Looks like a bird decided to try its luck today and found out.
Obsidian will look around and see if Chief is anywhere nearby, and when he does not see Chief, he would be a little upset.
It looks like Obsidian would probably go up to the niche and smell the blood and see the feathers and probably just be like, probably post snack knack.
Oh. Wanted the pet cat.
Repose, on the other hand,
There'll be an appropriate, shorter than usual wind-up time for Repose to be ready to speak quietly at the two of you. Allow me a moment's privacy.
Yeah,
Do not
as you need.
involve yourselves in this too hastily. You will know if an appropriate time arises.
Oh. How much blood?
Until then, and he will just kind of mutter a few suggestions of just, places around town or in the nearby wilderness to just go hang out.
All right, fine. I get you. Good luck.
Lists of people to visit, things to do.
Stay
briefly,
safe.
you were in the middle of saying how much blood, Yang?
It's okay. He'll figure it out. I shouldn't even be in the room to see how much blood he should lose before I intervene. So,
Okay.
answers that question.
Moat gives Repose a headbutt and a look up of, hey, you want me to go with, or...
Yes, pickup mode. Carry mode in appropriately formal cat carrying stance.
kind of hop up on shoulder, standing tall, as the two head out.
Off we go.
And the smoke is coming from the chimney of Azar's house, so even without the usual instinct of where she would be, it is pretty obvious.
Stop at Air's residence, open door, throw sack of other miscellaneous treats and cat gifts just through the door into the
Tidal
storm.
wave of fur emerges towards door as it shuts and then falls upon Sack.
They have fun.
There are many excited and pleased cat noises from behind the door. Moat reaches out from Raposa's shoulder as they approach the door to the Abbess's residence, and kind of pokes and taps the nose against the wood door frame, sniffing it a little bit, before glancing over to Raposa for a second, and kind of very gently patting a paw on it, before going back to sitting at full attention.
Yeah, just kind of, oh yeah. If Moat's getting a bit of a scan here of the vibe. Yeah, what's Moat conveying?
Moat's conveying that it would be best to just go in. Moat does not seem tense or on edge or ready for violence, more kind of taking in a vibe. It seems like Moat is trying to figure out what Moat is perceiving, and along the lines of like, well, that don't read right. So yeah, the gentle tap on the door is like, probably just go inside? I'm not sure what's going on, but I think you should just go inside.
Press on the door. See if it's even locked or latched.
It is just barely not latched and not locked, so as you press on harder to the door, it swings open, and you are able to see in the far corner of the residence that has been slightly a clutter. On a brief scan of the area, just kind of the reflexive taking in of a space that you know well, there's about 2 or 3 more wine bottles cast around than you would expect on a normal day. Not enough to be really kind of like out of the ordinary and alarming, but she's been drinking a little more than usual. Otherwise, it is mostly in order. Everything has been still put in its place. And in the far section of the house, she is sitting in her chair, facing a fire in the fireplace, and Chief is very peacefully asleep on her lap. Her head does tip up a little bit when the door opens, but she does not turn to face you.
Well, don't let me interrupt. Repose will just approach and take an appropriately secondary place to sit.
Yeah, there is another
Let
seat
Mo
to
get
be
comfortable.
pulled up by the fire. She's staring into the fire, and you notice that it is relatively fresh logs that are burning quite well, in having a lot of color and a lot of play in the way the fire is moving. This is not a I am lighting a fire for warmth, it's I am lighting a fire to watch situation.
That's good looking fire.
Yeah. As you sit down, one of Chief's eyes open, just kind of surly. A tip of the tail flick, and an ear twitch before raising the head a little bit, opening the second eye, yawning, looking over at Repose. Just kind of slow blink before putting head back down on his arm, but now eyes open, watching Repose. Now that you are in sitting position next to Azar and near the fire, you notice that on the side table next to her is a a mug that has been filled with what looks like the end of one of the wine bottle.
There will be some usual amount of contemplative silence. And then Repose will kind of shift to the side and slouch to a degree that it is very unusual, would be very unusual for anyone out there to see him in such posture. And just kind of leaned forward and relaxed and ease down out of usual stance. So how are you?
What does it look like? I know you didn't come all the way back here.
That was a bit quiet, and I couldn't,
She said, I know you didn't come all the way back here just to mock me.
No, I generally don't.
She picks up the glass of wine and takes a sip out of it before putting it back down.
I could go through the usual procedure. I bring you the worst of the news, the best of the news, and then you flare up in response, and before you have an opportunity to compose any sort of proper response, I run off again to find more problems to lay at your feet.
That gets her to turn her head just the slightest bit to let you see her eyes looking here in your direction.
That is how we've done things for a while now.
And you always seemed quite content with that.
I am content with most things. It's a great part of why I annoy you so much.
There is what looks like something between a snarl and a suppressed laugh on her face, like two emotions smacking into each other and canceling each other out, before she grabs the jug of wine and goes from sip to downing the rest of it in one go. Well, I don't know what has you so assertive today, but I'm listening.
And Repose will sigh, reach into pockets, take out, like, stack of little envelopes that are each, like, labeled with some, like, simple, dense character of the kind of short form labels that he gives to things when he is reporting on them. You have notes. I always have notes. I've become a busy man. And then he will just kind of discard the papers in the general direction of her.
She doesn't even have her eyes look down to them. She is now just has turned ahead to make unrelenting eye contact.
That is part of the usual procedure. I leave my notes. And just assume that whatever I have written there at some point arrives in the appropriate place.
There's a flicker of something in her eyes when you say that. Chief kind of rises from the half nap to start sniffing at the litter envelopes.
That is more news. Not much of it is the current news. We've only been out a short while this time. More of this is things I had left unspoken.
That gets a long exhale. And so you think to write them down now.
Though doing that still leaves them unspoken. And you will, before getting a bit of a reply, just slump over further onto the ground. See, I had the thought at some point of trying to just walk in here and do more as you would.
There is a palpably kind of uncomfortable shift in her body posture at that state.
Whenever I sit down and start trying to do something, it becomes this. It comes back to this. This is what I do.
She just quietly shakes her head. You probably had some grand plan walking in here, didn't you? Some great, thoroughly scripted out message for me after the dream. Hmm? Some grand way of coming to shame me, make amends, whatever it is you wanted to do. And here we are again. Each of us. Her eyes are back on the fire as, if anything, it is visible that she has multiple different things to say and is not sure what one she wants to say first, or if she wants to wait and see if you do something first. Just a bunch of conflicting impulses very cleanly on her face. So are you trying to find the words of that script again, or do you just like watching me stew?
You first.
Alright then, little shit, if you want to ask for
The
it
other
that way.
ways we do this, I always go first. I seize the initiative, I do what I believe needs to be done, and then claim the objective. Scurry off.
Back to your adventures. Back out to represent the vigil. Back out to burn the world out of the impurities within it. Out from beyond this tomb wall.
And it means I never take the time to thank you.
She actually looks like she's been struck when she hears that, and like double takes to look at you with a like the look of someone who was gearing up and getting ready for an argument and just had that smacked off course. Just confusion in her eyes on top of like bewildered gratitude.
May I offer
Hmm?
a narrative egg, a narrative egg for you in these trying times?
Go ahead.
What if Yang went off to the spot where Repose said, and he found some very good aid verbs for like, just casual smoke, like no benefit. They just taste nice when you smoke them.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I could, if you're heading out in that direction. So the idea that I was planning on, that I'm kind of lethargically trying to segue into, is so there is all manner of good hiding spots in these woods to just go and meditate.
Yes.
Repose knows where all they are, and Azar knows where all of they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because they both use these spaces, or rather, She used these spaces when this was her house.
Yep.
She was baby.
When she got to be adventurer.
She was adventure.
Oh shit, what if I really bring her back packets of Flavor Town?
Yes.
So yeah, I guess I'll go to one of those spots. Just pick around, be fuck around like, haha, I'm gonna do the stupid criminal thing of like, oh wait, this is actually like vapor tea. Huh.
You were going around and you notice an actually very, at first it's like, oh wow, what good luck, and then you look and you realize, no, it wouldn't be growing like this in
These
such a
are-
well-contained, healthy manner unless somebody had deliberately cultivated
These are
this.
clearings where the old growth has been burned away and little wild gardens of flowering things have been arranged, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of nice big rocks that have been set up to like really be good places where you could start fires and they would hold and reflect the heat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna cultivate this land, like literally. I'm just gonna do some casual, janitorial groundskeeping, and then make some presents and stuff to bring back to the person who so diligently allowed this to happen. Completely oblivious to anything happening in whatever the hell's happening over there. Just like, I'm gonna be casually nice for a change.
So, would you want this to be roughly at this time, Loon, or could conversation continue and then have
Propose
that happen?
has picked back up the envelopes and has started shuffling them. That is the rudimentary treachery of words, that things must be said in orders, and there's a little bit further
Mhm.
classics of literature rambling to start into while he is shaping these around, and then he just kind of looks away and unfurls all of these at Chief.
Chief lazily kind of reaches out with a claw, one single claw extended of a paw, hooks into one of the letters and pulls. Azar, taking up the hint, just picks it up, rips open the top, and pulls it out to look.
And I had not prepared any means by which to randomly select
That's fine.
which topic is first in there, but I suppose I will kind of abstract to, how about we call this a roll of
Yeah,
finesse something?
Finesse, probably...
Presence? Integrity?
Presence, I would say.
Jasmine?
Yeah, presence, because, this is interpersonal. And let's call it a difficulty 5. Okay, 1 over.
Alright, so, among these letters, one of them is just, the report from, alright, we went to Fort,
Mhm.
Fort was haunted, we did the things, war material, etc. Most of this is miscellaneous things about the plot that has unfolded that Repose had previously left out of other reports out of expecting that it would just make her mad. And then the third main kind of thing that is shuffled into this pile is incidents from Repose's childhood and education, having been reviewed in stark detail and critiqued from the perspective of an adult recalling them.
And I will say with 1 success over, that's the one she pulls first. And her brow begins to furrow as she reads it, kind of confused at first, then visibly irritated and upset before composing to hide it. And then the composure breaking again to show kind of a brief bit of dismay and confusion before composure again. Looking
If
back
you do
at
not find peace in there, then that is not a home. It is a cage. It is a heap of rotting wood. And he has some further speech along there of, so, let us say that this first one is an after-action review of the bees incident.
the bees incident, yeah.
Wherein, so, way back when Repose was like, let's say 8,
Mhm.
the cat swarm first started to take an interest in this child. Got the sense that, no, he's got the good smells. And in response to that, the thing to do is to have the suspect, the candidate, spend a night in the cabin. And see how the omens play out. And Repose spent his first night in this cabin and found that it was infested with bees. And this alarmed child. He was like, oh no, bees. I can't stay here with bees. And then, consulted Azar about, all right, Avis, what do I do about this? And got a bit of a talk about like, hey, no, if somewhere isn't comfortable, if it's terrible and weird and spooky and awful, that's not a house. House is wherever you feel at home, wherever you feel safe, wherever you feel comfortable. So if this thing is too spooky, that's not your house. That's one important thing to have reviewed there. Then, following up on that, reposes a lot of written commentary of, having considered all of her wording with more care than an 8-year-old was capable of. And thought about, oh, you used to live here. This was built for you. When we arrived here, that was in your mother's time. And this was her house, and this was yours. And some limited observations about that. The rest of the bees incident is that Repose then proceeded to go out to the townsfolk and learn everything he could about bees and how bees work. And he eventually overcame his fear of bees and went into the house and just kind of swept the colony into a basket and took them off to an apiary, and that is how Repose's bees got started. And the final note to be left upon that is to be spoken as she is getting to the end of reading Bee's report, Bee's dossier. I never thanked you for those bees.
You didn't thank me for anything. You didn't curse me for anything. You just... You were the rock that you were filled with.
I didn't think of any of that at the time. I'm dense.
What the fuck is a joke? What?
It is both joke and extremely serious scholarly observation, and thus also joke.
The Rock told a joke that's fucked up.
Joke rock.
Azar's shoulders just slumped.
What do you mean? The Rock tells jokes?
You can probably look at the the code names on the rest of these dossiers, and we can like
Immediately starts recognizing
montage through a bunch of these. Now I have finally noticed, oh yeah, that first lamb that I just found in the woods, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. It just seemed very vaguely distressed. That was because you just told it to wait here, and it listened because you're very good at telling animals what to do.
And then
Beast listened to you, and the lamb waited and eventually got bored and restless and lonely because it was waiting in the middle of nowhere, and then got very distressed, reflecting the distress of this strange, gangly human child that was carrying it around, brandishing at people, demanding to know what's wrong with this lamb. Commentary in the writing of, yes, it would be terrible to just feel obliged to rest inert for ages against your nature, against your own drive to wander and explore and live.
That at that point, her hands are beginning to tremble as she is holding the missives. I wasn't made for this. I didn't want this. I didn't know how to raise you. Is that what you wanted to hear? Did I resent you? Did I resent this? Is that why you have me cornered and reading this? Is this why you're thanking me now? After that, she very uncharacteristically, rather than continue to escalate, just slumps again in the chair. Like she has realized, like, no, I can't do that. And it's just... At that point, Chief actually gets up, looks up at her, and looks at Moat. And Moat gets up and hops up over onto Azar's lap, and Chief hops up over onto Repose's lap.
What is this bro's move?
Moat gives a slow blink up to Azar as she stares. You know, Sam, sometimes I feel like we were born in the wrong order. And that's not something a mother should be saying to her son.
Not all the words of that came through clearly.
Sometimes, Sam, I feel like we were born in the wrong order, and that's not something a mother should say to a son.
Shrug. Wave of the hand. Who was?
I suppose the Grand Abbess would have an argument with me about that as well. Chief, just kind of old man cat bones, leans into Repose, and this is one of the few times Repose has felt Chief in the lap and not felt the sense of imminent violence or sulkiness. It's just Chief is genuinely just warmed by the fire and is resting on Repose, while Moat is very unblinkingly making eye contact with Azar.
Repose will just very briefly look aside quietly down at Chief. She used to brush you.
Flick of the tail. And a kind of guilty-looking shift from Azar.
That is how it was. You would go out and pick your fights with whatever caught your eye every day, and always the next morning you would be pristine. Reach back into other pocket, very slowly, menacingly draw out a brush, just letting every individual bristle
Eyes dilate.
off of the edge.
Claws very
of a
lightly
sheath.
dig into your leg.
Just slowly lower brush toward face of cat.
Vibration before accepting fate. This important need to give correct message, accept. Oh god. Ah. And as the brush just starts passing through the fur, yeah, there's like mats and knots all over because Chief has just gotten
Yes.
too old for this shit and has stopped caring about looking good.
It
And
is
now Repose is
extremely-
asserting dominance.
Extremely slow and light and careful. And it stops reasonably quickly.
Kind of a head tilt at that.
And of course, she is the one who knew how to do this properly. For you. So then, what do you think of this? Just showing him face of brush, letting him sniff at it, poke at it.
Surly, but bits of nostalgia. And Azar looks over. It's this time she is visibly searching for the words in a way where she has only thought about this at like gut level and has never even had the courage, the inclination to say it out loud. To run this monastery as the abbess and to spend so much time mediating between the living and the dead, and to spend so much time in the temple. Sometimes it feels more like I'm a ghost than I'm still here. When I was young, I thought I would be the kind that would die in battle before I was ever an administrator, and then things happened. Tradition is as it always will be. She looks back into the fire for a moment and, like, unconsciously reaches over, her hand out next to Chief. And Chief looks at it for a moment of just like headbutt or, scratching and something, and then looks at it, then looks back up at Repose and back down to Repose's hand. As Azar is just not looking.
You gonna take that hand?
She kind of jolts a little bit at that before relaxing out again. Still, like, you can feel the tension in her hand as she is staring in the fire. Sam?
Jin?
You're just better at hiding it than I am. I resented you for a while, because every day it felt like I had a new emotion grabbing me by the throat and trying to drive me, and ruled by whatever maddening urge I had, and here you were, on the day you were born, just serene as can be, untroubled by anything. For a long time, I didn't think you had to work at it. I'm quite tired of not having outlets if I can't be as serene as you.
Then go outside.
That makes her stop and just kind of stammer briefly. Like, you can feel the baked-in weight of the entire sect on her shoulders for a moment. It's just, no, I can't. I have to be here. I
Narratively, I choose to kick in the
Yes.
door as loud as possible.
Out of that chair. Out of this house. And out of these walls. And out into the world.
I will say, after Into the World is when the door flies open, if you're okay with that, Loon.
Sure. We can be startled out of the middle of doing this. All just
Into
all
the
forward
world,
look.
wham!
abruptly.
Like, Chief literally bolts out of your lap towards
Propose.
Gan's face.
Propose special interest mode activated. Did you know those spots you sent me to are as cool as hell? Check out all this neat shit I found. Someone, did you
literally
grow
about
that or did
half-
you grow that?
About halfway through your first sentence, Chief is latched onto your face. As Moat has jumped over on top of Repose, ready to, like kind of puffed up and arced back until realizing who it is. At which point there is a sudden at Chief, who turns around, looks at Moat, then looks back down at the person being mauled, and is just like, fine.
On the way down, basically all you did was knock out several packets and also a very nice smoking pipe out of my hands. And they're now on the floor. And now Yang is just going to be
very
staring at the
quickly,
ceiling.
aside to Azar, only 2 of them are here.
Somehow I think
Angler and
you wouldn't be able-
Milan went on ahead to the city. Old man is unaccounted for.
She waves a hand dismissively to cut you off. Honestly speaking, I don't think you would stop that one if you wanted to.
Yeah, Yang, I don't think we're supposed to go in there yet.
What?
Or that one, frankly.
Oh, right. Is
Well-
the cat going to kill me?
Chief is actually now at the side and just kind of very gently licking at one of the scratches on your face, just kind of like, sorry. And as Moat is staring a death glare over your body towards Chief.
I asked them to wait.
Right.
That
I-
said, they'd know.
And
Inappropriate.
Azar is actually laughing.
Just kind of muttering
Ah.
some kind of seasoned swilling.
Azar is actually laughing right now, and you're not sure how to handle that. She is just kind of in the emotional state where her only response to this is to just start chuckling uncontrollably at the sight of the door and at your explanation attempt, before getting up, standing, and walking over to Yang. Leaning in, leaning down. So what exactly was so important that you risked my wrath to come interrupt?
I found cool. Repose sent me out on an errand to go stop me from doing this, but I forgot because the place I got sent to was like really fucking dope and had a bunch of cool shit growing. And then I remember that like, oh yeah, I got that smoking pipe that I thought would look cool smoking, but like I didn't. I'm too much of a goblin to pull it off, so I figured like, hey, that'd be it. I should pay respects to my brother's mother, you know, right? So then I was like, okay, let's go get her some smoking stuff, and I was like, yeah, maybe it's a hobby. I don't know, it's it's present. And then I shoved
As Yang is continuing to ramble, she has squatted down to pick up a patch of the herbs, stares at them with her eyes visibly dilating slightly, and then shows them to Repose as if to go, is this what I think it is? Just kind of showing Repose the packet of the herbs from the meditation meadow.
I have yet to find any fraction of your talent as a custodian of wild things. But I do have some predisposition to keeping sorted things arranged as they are.
You took care of my garden? Why didn't you tell me?
It's so
It's at
cool
the-
down there, though.
It's at this point that Obsidian would probably grab Yang, yank him away. They're having a moment. Let's.
Oh, but seed palming is such a rare method. People always never think it makes anything pretty, but always just like, it works out the way it should. I just wanted to compliment her on
Hops
seed
over past Chief and puts a paw gently over Yang's mouth.
No, this
claws
is
or anything,
this is
just kind of
hijack. This is
kind of
as Yang is being pulled away.
Like, no, then Moat would be on top of Yang's chest to just go shoosh. Chief wanders back in, sniffing at the herbs, and then finding one of them that was in fact a pack of catnip, immediately just slumps over on the ground, beginning to drool, just like, oh yeah.
His cat.
At the time, I didn't think that anyone could have made that if it was only nature's will.
I suppose I never told you precisely that those were not as I found them, but shakes her head. The tension is kind of melting out of her. I'm sorry, Seneca.
Sorry, what was that?
She said, I'm sorry, Samandar. I've been carrying a lot that I shouldn't have been. That I thought was aimed at you.
Rose cannot find words to respond to this with, and is just kind of left vaguely gesticulating in a way that is entirely familiar to her. Of just, yep,
She just kind of gives.
he's gone silent.
And again, her usual response when growing up was either a blank face or kind of dismissive irritation, or trying to poke and prod and get you to speak or show emotion beyond the gesticulation. But now she's just kind of wry, tired smile and is just letting it happen, letting it go on your own time. We still have, seasons willing, the far better part of our years between the both of us to make up for lost time and find the words that we should have been using a long time ago. As for now, I'm pretty sure you should make sure your brother doesn't get himself killed.
Among other things.
Oh, and Sam? May I ask you a favor?
Always.
If you happen to have your hands around the tyrant's neck, make sure at least one of the vertebrae break for me. She's a little unsettlingly serene as she asks that.
And Propose does reflect that back. Violent nod. Doom.
She actually pauses as you are heading to the door and looks you up and down briefly. Ordinarily, I would have thought that this would have been something I would be asking 50 years from now, but it seems the service of creation has quickened the essence within you quite considerably. And I can't make any promises, but I will, on your behalf, as I believe that it would be. Again, there's kind of a pushing against her usual instinct to say this, but she is still going through it. I will petition on your behalf to the Grand Abbess and see if she sees that you are ready for tutelage to bear the arms of the unconquered.
Extremely ominous vibrations out of just seismic waves emanating out of house.
Yeah, like Obsidian and Yang are probably a good 30 feet away and literally see the foundation of the house shake.
Oh, that's what I should have been waiting for.
Is that good?
Well, no, I fucked
Moat
that one up.
Moat doesn't seem bothered, actually. If anything, Moat seems excited.
Moat is equally vibrating.
Yeah, actually, Moat has begun to purr loud enough that it is making Yang aware of every rib in the rib cage.
Yeah, so like that aura wave is the extent of his direct response to that, and after he recomposes himself a little.
She just kind of smiles and steps out of the way of the door at that, unless Propose had any other further statements, because she realizes what that would get the response of.
Kanan, for my part, I am sorry that it took this long for me to fully realize and understand that we are both alive.
She just kind of very briefly licks her lips and purses them and stands up straighter in the "I'm not showing emotion, I don't have emotions right now" way.
And the rest of those do contain some of the more serious news. I did not stack the entire deck with sentiments.
I'll be sure to read them in full this time. I can promise you that. He won't say.
I suppose then, leave with this peace offering. I will stop looking at you as though you are already one of the martyrs. You stop acting like you need my permission to leave the house. Outside. It's a nice day. They're all nice days.
She opens her mouth as if to protest before shaking her head. Fine. And as Repose heads out, Azar heads out with Chief on her shoulder. And the crew can see, Obsidian still trying to drag Yang before Moat pops back over. And
walk away from each other, and that went better.
yeah. Meanwhile, across the rivers, back over in the Falls.
Oh, right. I'm actually playing this game and not listening to it.
Yes, hello, other crew.
Yeah, sorry.
Swap in.
That's fine. That was more of a joke.
Alright, just to double check, Crumb, you there?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, that'll be the two of you. Ready and basically coming up on the cloud out into the Grey Falls area. And landing and making your evaluation of the area. Is there anything that you would want to do first before going to the Satrap?
Yes. Actually file a formal petition so we're not just showing up unannounced.
Okay, roll me a finesse bureaucracy roll, difficulty 3. This is trivial for you, but it's a matter of how fast you'll get in.
Yep. And with the extra 2 successes, I want to convey with it the intent of good news.
Like good news smile asterisk, or genuinely good news?
Good news in the way that the realm does it of, yes, I'm bringing good news, but also I want a bribe out of this.
Okay, yeah, you can get that one too. Also,
Good
damn,
news.
yeah, you almost
I brought
you
someone else
almost
from the
rolled a
realm
straight.
along to talk to you, as opposed to last time where I didn't.
You were one die off from rolling a straight, which no, that's pretty impressive on its own.
Swordgar
yeah.
weeps.
Swordgar weeps at worlds he cannot conquer. So yeah, you file the petition, send it in, and it's probably about half a day, which usual turnaround on this sort of thing is a couple of days top. So you are mildly surprised when you have settled down in a tea house near probably around the Canal Gate area, the usual bar areas, maybe the High Quarter, depending. Unless you had other stuff that you wanted to check on, that you have a runner come out and basically go, schedule's cleared. You can come visit now, actually.
Engler would want to just give a heads up to his contacts in the city of, I'm going to need your help here in a little bit. Just get ready. If you have other business you need to take care of, now is the time to take care of it, because we have actual work to do rather than just our usual keep an eye on things, but keep a low profile.
Okay. There is a kind of a ripple of excitement of like, oh wow, okay, we're doing something. Fine, okay, yeah, hell yeah. There's the feeling of like, shore leave's nice and all, but it isn't like 10 months.
I mean, they've been keeping an eye on things, but most of it's been
Yeah.
don't draw attention to yourself. Now it's fuck it. We have work to do. We're just gonna make ourselves. We're gonna
Passive
we aim-
observation, etc.
yeah, we aim to misbehave.
So, Angler and Milan managed to go up probably on the evening of this. No, actually, probably around midday to evening of the 6th would be how it would work out with the flight time. For audience notes, I am mostly keeping Stormwind Rider intact. I have slightly nerfed it by virtue of how traveling as a venture scale time thing is working in the new rule set. So travel times will be slightly longer than before.
Travel is no longer a yes.
Travel is no longer a we're not paying attention. It is actually going to take at least some bit of narrative time of importance.
Also, not going to make an immediate effort to do so, but Angler is keeping an eye out for certain birds that are paying attention and making a point to come back to that area later in the night or day or whatever.
Fortitude awareness roll difficulty 6.
Fortitude awareness?
Well, whatever main stat you want to justify using.
No, it's fine. I need to make sure because this is like the first couple times I've been doing rolls. I need to make sure
Yes.
I do that right. Why did it kick me out of roll 20?
Goodbye.
I still see you in roll 20.
Okay, it lagged for quite a bit. Anyway, let's try that again. 10, 7, 3 successes.
You ain't found shit, Captain.
That's fine. I will keep an eye out every so often, but
Yeah.
eh,
This is a matter of see if you get to see him in a densely populated town.
yeah,
which,
it was kind of on the offshoot. It's one of those things that Angler walked into town and realized afterwards, oh right, he probably was watching us, or they were probably watching us as we were coming in. That was dumb. Oh well.
Hey, Darren.
What's up?
Do you mind if we get a music change to something a
Yeah.
bit more? Yep.
A little more lively. Hang on.
Oh, what? You don't want to have Crumb just sobbing in the background during this music? That's fine.
You step forward. Good news! Breaks down crying.
Can I find the extended version? Yes, I can. Oh, I love this song. Sec.
Appropriate.
All right, we can work with this.
Alright, so you are going through the bustle of the dock district and the mercantile quarters before going up to the Four-Wind Throne and the giant's face over to the satrap's palace. And yeah, you were just immediately let in. You filed your paperwork this time. They know you're coming in, so they let you in and they guide you directly to the throne, where this time the satrap is wearing a rather subdued-looking dress. Her hair is done up in a very simple bun with a single pin through it. It is very much a I am not dressing to impress situation, but still looking fairly chic. Like, this is as close to as you will get to a realm administrator's form of casual, which by anyone else's definition is like black tie dinner party. But yeah, she's just nods her head as Milan enters and is mildly surprised to see, but nods at Angler. And Milan immediately notices her eyes scan the room as you enter over your shoulders to see if anybody else comes in, and you get a very distinct suspicion that she is looking specifically to see if Yang will be here again, before visibly relaxing slightly when it is just you two in the Eater's clothes.
No worries. I have sent the loud one away.
I appreciate the thoughtfulness. Now, how can I help you with your good news?
Well, I bring good news that Grey Falls war against Lookshy and the Gonzota has finally come to an end. The flag
Remarkably
of
swift. She kind of raises her eyebrows remarkably swiftly, considering that our detachment had already been encamped on the outside and hadn't received orders to go in yet.
well,
If they had gone in, they all probably would have died.
That is precisely why we were waiting on a full situation and reconnaissance report, but apparently that was preempted now, wasn't it?
we've gotten very good at dealing with anathema.
Of course there was an anathema again. Why would it be anything else in my administrative district? Why would it be anything simple? Why wouldn't it just be a peasant rebellion? No, it has to be anathema. Oh, it's gotta be something from the wild. No, it's gotta be something from below. No, it's gotta be somebody who's got the soul of the sun and has a great idea.
When carried words to Angler, oh my god, I want to punch her in the gut. No, I want to punch her in the face.
Either of those options sounds reasonable, but right now, she's having a bad time of it.
Just,
Although when we're done with everything, you can come back and punch her as much as you want, and I will probably not stop you.
not yet. I need an
But
exit
pardon my intemperance, and I must thank you yet again for your services in the assistance of the region. Out of character, you very deliberately know she is not saying the realm this
Yep.
time.
Yep. And very deliberately, I said Grey Falls.
Yes. Must thank you again in your services of the region. You may give a report if you believe that it would be enlightening or elucidating or helpful for the stability of the region, or you can spare me the headache and give me the short version. Either way, the choice is yours.
Well, we kicked a door at the anathema, and that worked pretty well.
She just kind of gives a look over to Anglers, just like, seriously?
It tried to drown me. And he just kind of looks and just makes a small ball
Well,
of water appear in his hands. It was a really bad idea.
On dry land?
It's... You best would just understand that it was a very stupid anathema and it's been taken care of. Strong, but stupid.
I'll take strong but stupid over the alternatives. Anyway, clearly that you have been there and back has indicated that the field is in fact down and is no longer cursing people with petrification. What
And-
did you find in there?
Well, we found the fort in Amethyst. The souls of those who were caught in the blast have been put to rest. And the means to which the field was activated had been permanently destroyed. God's willing, it stays destroyed forever.
Did you happen to hit it with a particularly large door to make sure it stayed there?
No, I do believe the anathema had hit it with another anathema. They had gotten to there before us.
They also seem to have taken a few war striders. War striders? Am I using that right?
When you say the word War Strider, her general composure of slight irritation actually collapses into both hands going on her face and just leaning in on her lap, just like, oh.
Normally, I
Somewhere
would
in
have
the
kept that
distance.
quiet. However, look, you've been kind to us when you did not need to, and have definitely could have made our lives miserable. So let's cut past some of the bureaucratic business here and get to the point of this. We need to start working together a little bit more, because if we're running to more and more anathema in this region, it's all of our problems and not any individuals.
Anathema with War Striders, you said. Plural, how many?
Just two.
Just two, you say. Just two. Is there any indication of their build, their model, capabilities?
Unfortunately, the craftsmen among our group, craftspeople among our group are not present, so they could not give them more
You
detailed
did see-
response to it.
You did see the footprint shapes.
There were the only things you could have seen were the footprints.
Give footprint size and probable result of they're also still made out of amethyst.
Also, I believe we did get some details of what the Worst Riders could do from the god that's name is escaping me. It's been a month.
You
Yeah,
mean
we did.
Skin Man? Or
No,
Oh.
the one we helped.
Oh.
The
At
robot
time,
god.
We did a bit of craft thinking as part of
Yeah,
thinking about
Shake
what the
On.
Worst Riders should be capable of.
Mhm.
I feel like this is a subject where, like, retroactively, you could have had this conversation before we
Yeah.
split up.
Pull
Yeah,
out
yeah.
pull out dossier of what has been reported on it and give the details.
Yeah, I thought at the very end of the session when we met Shea Khan and
Yeah.
all that, they mentioned some ideas of what it could do, but it was one of those, and we'll worry about that next week, and then we totally
yeah.
forgot to do that.
Here's 2 successes of finesse. Oh, wait, hold on. That was not the entire pool. Here's the rest of the pool.
Here are
Five successes.
3 more successes.
Here's 5 successes of finesse
It is-
craft.
It is unlikely that they were royal class Worst Riders, like the big can murder entire army on their own. Because number one, they probably wouldn't have fit in the basement, and number two, if they had that, they probably wouldn't have had their asses kicked.
Extremely informed and calculated projections and not speculations about the capabilities of these things, extrapolated from their footprints.
From the sheer size aspects of it, it's probably bigger than a scout and smaller than royal, so like mid-weight, effectively. And from the fact that one was quadruped, that one's weird. Whatever it is going to be strange. It is not going to be just a stand-up punch or shoot robot. It is going to have something it does. And the one with the 2 just humanoid footprints is who the hell knows? That is robot-shaped robot.
Now, as for the person who took this and what they mean to do with it, looks to Angler, I believe we have some hypotheses.
Well,
We believe that our target, the one behind all these anathema, means to strike at the heavens, quite literally.
you're fucking me.
I wish I was. Fired a laser beam at us once. Didn't like it.
Twice actually.
Just
Oh.
kind of mouth is opening and shutting without words.
Angler looks around to see if there's some sort of a tea set or something, and is going to busy himself making tea for her because she's going to need it.
There is probably something off to the side.
Now it is time for Milan to press every button. Okay, let's see. Start 1. Yes, the anathema is attempting to destroy the cycle of reincarnation. That is as much as we've figured of their master plan.
Dial tone visible in eyeballs, mouth open, not closing, no noises, brain out to lunch.
Pours tea, hands tea
Yep.
to her, sits down, looks over at Milan. Bit much of this lead off. We should have slowly gone up to that one, actually.
It's best to keep that in mind as we talk about what we can do to prevent this.
To be fair, we should have been keeping her in the loop of this for a while, so that's kind of our bad.
My apologies to Grey Falls and its satrap.
And the fact that you are taking this remotely seriously indicates that you believe that he has a chance of this. and that you have a chance of stopping something capable of that?
We've been pretty effective in thwarting their plans so far.
They were going to try something. They're running out of options quickly on when they can do it. And if they are going to try something soon, they're going to be rushed and hurried plans rather than concrete, well thought out and executed plans. So, we thought we would talk to you about this because you have a greater connection to resources and information than all of us combined. And our best option is to pool those resources to see if we can shut this down before they even try something so stupid as to attack heaven.
There is no situation in which any of these plans, any of these actors, any of these ideas, or any of these conflicts are confusing together in any sort of way, plan, idea, motivation, or capability that does not make me want to jump out of the top of this building.
Really hope you not do that because I don't think Grey Falls will stay together without you at the helm. This is, by the way, out of character. This is not Angler buttering her up. He's taking a look around and go, nope, and if she falls out of order, we will have an actual problem.
She just kind of gives a light laugh at that, but notices that it is not pure flattery and just sighs at that. Here I thought when I got this assignment I'd be out in the middle of nowhere, dealing with nothing. All of a sudden I'm dealing with the fate of heaven and earth? If there were any other part telling me this, I would be telling you to leave my city and never come back, because your lies would be so blatantly a manipulation of me and my city that it would be a flagrant attempt to get something. But no, you really just... It has to...
Milan gives the shrug emoji.
Is it just us? Is it just you and I that you're mustering against we are it?
Oh no.
Really, it's us? We're the last line?
We're not the last line. It's more a matter of we have some help from a few of the other kingdoms in the area and other resources. However, based on some information we've received, there could also be an issue in the city itself.
You know, if you just stabbed me, this would be a much more pleasant assassination attempt.
Yes, but then I would have to take control of the city, and I'm not up to that yet.
Ooh.
Hey, other people might not appreciate the humor. She will.
Yeah, she actually just does have a very grim smile on her face as she sighs in exhaustion at that. Fine. What is this danger? Fuck me up. What is it?
Okay, and then Angler's gonna pull out his own notes and stuff and pull out of a waterproof case and stuff because realizing what he is, and go, okay, the information I was given recently is that, and he's going to, because it's been a couple weeks, my knowledge of the information is not perfect, so all the information on the associative green that might be in the area and is hiding, and the reason why it's hiding is because it doesn't consider us dragon blood to be important enough to keep an eye on, so we might be able to hunt it down. And we have a good feeling that it is somewhere in the region.
Just at this point, she has picked up the teacup and is just cradling it with both hands and just kind of sip.
Do you guys want to ask if she's gotten any weird unsolicited letters? from weirdos?
Yeah.
Do you
I
think
mean-
you're at that level?
I was actually waiting to do that towards the end when she thought she'd be in control, and then we'd be able to break any kind of work with that and cycle it in. But yeah, we can work that in sooner.
I think she seems like she's in control right now.
Yeah,
We-
but
We gotta
should let her build
back up.
herself back up a little bit and then break it entirely if she is getting letters. Like a good book. You gotta wait for the
Yeah,
ups and
yeah.
downs.
Okay, so some infernalist is assisting in this process and is in the region and is egotistical enough, whether or not they have the capability to back it up, to believe that the entire massed forces of a manse that fuels the sword of creation is not enough to personally stop them. Really?
Ego has been a consistent factor in the anathema we faced. It's appears to be popular these days.
I know we come into your town from time to time and try not to make too big of a scene, but has any outsider approached in the past month or so and is certain to make some waves in the area?
Sits back and thinks, just like actually closing her eyes and composing herself. And you can feel a very brief ripple of essence off her as she's like going deep into like sorting through her memories, sorting through like blood connection, things like that, just racking her brain completely over this. Define new and define waves.
Could be
Her eyes
anything.
are still closed and thinking.
It could be anything. Someone making waves in the merchants' quarter of town. Someone making waves towards where slums. I don't know if finesse. Say slums or what have you. Anyone who's starting to gather a great deal of followers or power, but isn't.
Darren,
Mhm.
could I make some sort of memory roll to think back of any of like anything green we've seen green done in the past, like in Parliament Town?
Finesse again. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, Bradway is rolling that. What is her aspect element again?
Wood.
Okay.
5 successes on a recall roll.
You remember that the very first letter's cover was of a minor functionary in the government of the Fallen River Valley. So, at least one cover identity that was used is familiar with politicking.
They have experience with politics, mainly presenting themselves as a minor functionary within local governments.
Angler would sketch out that symbol. Just they might be dumb enough to just think that no one would look, and just would sketch it on a pad or something and show it to her.
Hang on a second while I switch these.
Also, did that coin? Was it a coin we found in the warehouse? Did that have a certain symbol on it?
That was just a brass. That was a brass heart.
Brass
in,
heart.
Malthian brass.
Okay.
Just deeply thinking to herself. They were a functionary, then there was a recent acceptance of students from ministerial tests into the local government. Might have slept in there. Might have been somebody who picked up any number of the positions along the waterfront. There's so many. Great Falls has been out here on its own long enough to have its own unique level of ideas of how many posts there should be at certain levels of government.
Okay, how about this? Anyone in the past, let's say, couple years that goes on frequent trips out and about and is recently back in town? Important enough to be noticed.
I mean, there's that merchant with the Yedem. That doesn't seem to tie.
We'll check in with them anyway. It's never a bad idea to cast a wide net. We're not going to shake people down, but...
Like, she seems like she's rolling ideas around in her head and keeps running into a block, is what the visual you're getting is. And it's not a, like, I have been made to forget this kind of block. It's more along the lines of, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. That wouldn't fit. No, they have an alibi. She is literally thinking of every one of the hundreds, if not thousands, of functionaries that she's personally met and, like, striking them off a list.
Angler is going to use wind-carried words over to Milan and say, "You're good at..." I was about to say awkward small talk, but that's too on the nose. "You're good at drawing people out into talking more than they should. Just get her speaking about the people, and maybe that'll help her figure out who it is."
Sure. I would like to make a roll to... I'm going to tell a story of a time that let's see. A Pelip spy was nestled within my administration to try and make a hit at me, and how it wasn't me who found out about him. It was just the workings of my team, and how even they... Yeah.
You notice the disruption around them rather than who they were.
Yeah.
Alright, give me a finesse presence roll. With a 2-dice stunt. With a stunt, which is 2 dice in the system.
Six successes.
No. She just kind of gives a surly look back over to the other two. Alright, what I say doesn't leave this room, alright?
Absolutely.
She's watching Angler until there is verbal assent.
Oh, sorry, yes. He nods. He was thinking about making another joke, but it's too serious.
So the enforcement of weights and measures in Grey Falls has been corrupt since the first place this was found. It's a matter of where it is corrupt and who it is corrupt towards and what is being bent. There has been all sorts of reform measures that have stuck for a time until somebody else with an idea comes in and changes it again, and again, and again. House Nellens was rather particularly fond of tweaking it so that their outgoing was in a different measure than their intake. I will not lie and say that we have entirely purged the department of its traditional methods of creative accounting. To wit, specifically weights, we have been particularly permissive about what they are weighing certain shipments outgoing of. Outgoing. Oh, hell, the drugs. Drugs from further inland near Equador. They go out, we overbill, we send them out, we make more money, less people on the aisle get the drugs. No one actually cares because no one double checks all the paperwork because they can't because we're halfway across the world. The thing is, recently, there has been higher turnover than usual, and this is a department with high turnover due to the innate problems of corruption and people taking their own off the top, which would risk the ability for the government to take its own off the top its own. But there has been higher turnover than usual in that department, as people are getting more ideas about personal enrichment rather than governmental enrichment that is given back to them in kickbacks in the form of their salary. We have a system for this. And a suspicious number of people are deciding to try to sidestep that system recently. That's all I can think of. Otherwise, I would have to literally go down my list. Ministers, mandarins, and advisors. Every posting in this accursed city, trying to find anybody recent that would fit your profile.
I believe that does give us something to work off of. And as you said, this does not leave this room.
Of course.
On that topic,
What?
I'm just not going to beat around the bush. Small parcel of land near the fork of the river as payment for turning over Gonzota to Grey Falls.
How small?
Small enough to just a tiny village / personal
You
manor.
would probably already have an exact.
Ooh,
What?
yes. That's right. No. I'm going to make a haggling roll.
The strange
there's a
hissing
system now.
whispers scratch
There's
at
a
ya.
system for
Yeah,
this now. We
there's
can
a
do
system.
this now.
It's time to haggle.
It's time for you to spend motes.
Imagine I audibly crack my knuckles.
Because you can immediately feel her tense up and just be going, oh, no, 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 no.
There you go.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
How do we begin a haggle?
Where is it in the book?
Follow-up question, where's the book?
So this would be an embassy roll, I'm presuming. And I don't think this would be a venture, because this is not long-term. This is a social influence action, actually. So, yeah, this will be an influence action using embassy from you against her. And so, let's double-check how this is going to work.
Do I help at all by being Milan's hype man?
Let me double-check.
And by hype man, I'm just
There
being
is
intimidating.
assist rules.
Yeah, there are assist. There's an assist roll. So yeah, you can roll a die pool and then add your successes to Milan's pool.
I'll check on
Fantastic.
what exactly that is, because
That's
there
just-
is a definition of assisting in this.
That is what I think it is. And yeah, ventures
Going to
can be
make
as
sure.
short as one scene. But
Okay, so I'm going to be making an
Teamwork.
embassy.
so the difficulty is
Yep, it is whoever is assisting, roll a relevant pool, add your successes as dice to other person's pool.
Okay, so I'm guessing I'd be rolling embassy finesse here.
yes, unless you are being more avert, at which point you could use force.
No, angler would be trying just to be a little bit helpful on Milan's side of this, but not actually making himself like a co-ownership of whatever this is. So very minor help.
Talking up what Milan has done for Great Falls.
Exactly. I'm gonna use the Excellency Embassy on this one as well, which means I just double my Embassy die pool, correct?
You add the
Yes.
skill again.
Yeah, the skill again. I just wanted to make sure I had that correct. Okay. Glad I did that. Three successes. Good lord.
Okay, so Milan gets 3 dice. I'm double checking what her resolve against this would be. So for explanation for y'all and for chat in terms of social stuff. Influence actions are an ability and attribute rolled against the resolve of the opposing character, which depends on how much integrity they have. And for NPCs, it is either 3 or 4. For her, it is 4. Her job is to have a high resolve. She is a government administrator. A virtue and vice may just resolve up or down if it is relevant to the social influence targeting her. So, basically, what is the exact argument that you are making here? What do you because you don't.
So, first of all, I'm making a forceful roll because I came out and just said it flat out. And second, I'm flat out saying, okay, look, there's a system for this. I have given you all of this. I would like my bribe. This is what I want my bribe to be. Let's negotiate.
Alright. Okay, so
Let us do this in the good and proper Dragonblood realm way.
act and result. So if a virtue or vice, not virtue or vice, that's World of Darkness coming in. Virtue or intimacy resolve modification is based on if it would act out of alignment or in alignment. Minor intensities of virtue or intimacy add or remove 2. Major intimacies add or remove 3. She would have a net resolve of 2. Because you don't know exactly what's going on in that, I don't have to explain, but her net resolve is 2.
All right. Shall
And
I?
You use bonus. Yeah, you can roll, and you use bonus successes to purchase effects in the influence section.
All right. Here is my loads embassy shotgun.
Oh,
9.
So you have 7 successes. So let us see. Influence effects. Okay, so you are trying to persuade. Let's see. You can convince the target to take an action. This generally targets a virtue or intimacy, but if you have suitable leverage via bargaining, coercion, or intimidation, you don't need to know them, which, yeah, that fits you right now. On a success, acts to the best of the ability as long as it does not pose more than a minor inconvenience. You may spend extra successes to purchase Persuade multiple times to increase the level of action taken on half. Let us see how much that will be for this.
So it's 2 per rank of
that is 2
Persuade.
per rank of how much of a pain this is going to be. Second time. Okay, so it will be 4 successes to purchase her willingness to give up land that technically she could have hegemony over to you directly in exchange for worse land that she can develop. That is basically, I'm taking on a task that is posing inconvenience and possible danger, but is not risking my life or livelihood.
Okay.
So on top of that, you would have 3 left over. So to list off the rest of the possible stuff, Dissuade works the same way. 2 successes and 2 again to be, longer term stop doing this. Instill is 1 success and may be higher depending on how much you want to instill the belief of something. You basically create a minor intimacy. Read intentions is a variable amount of successes, and you can use that to learn virtues, motives, and intimacies. Set up is 2 successes and basically is a way of this is what Angler probably should have done, is this is debuff resolve against the next social influence action. Strengthen is 2 successes to increase a current intimacy, and weaken is 3 successes to weaken an existing intimacy. So what you could do is you could state one thing you want to learn about her motives, intimacies, or virtues, and then spend 2 successes to learn any one that I'm willing to give you with your leftover successes.
Okay. Angler, since you helped out, Crumb, since you helped out with this, what do you think?
I think instilling a virtue or something into her, or an intimacy with her, that we're not the worst people ever, so that if you come back later for more dealings with her,
You can
not be
tag that
bad.
intimacy, yes. You would be
Okay.
able to tag a minor intimacy to one of her virtues. You don't know what her virtues are. A character may instill intimacies without an attachment to virtue, but this requires magic such as a charm, or it will end until the end of the session. So in order to do that successfully long term, you'll need to know what one of her virtues is, which, hey, you've just got enough successes to be able to read what her minor virtue is.
Let's get her minor virtue, and then if that's relevant, we'll tag to that.
Her minor virtue is ambition. Or wait, no.
That's her minor?
No. Her minor virtue is loyalty.
There we go.
Spoilers, her major is ambition.
I was about to say, yeah, I kind of figured what her major was.
Her
Minor
loyalty,
ambition. Major, also ambition.
So her
You
tie of
say that
loyalty.
about Milan.
Yeah, her minor tie of loyalty is nominally to House Sinus and is still strong enough to tag as a virtue towards House Sinus, but is also becoming loyalty to this area in particular. Rather than the interests of these people, it's more along the lines of like the people who are with me in on this. Which you would be able to tag an intimacy positively towards yourself hanging off.
Yep. That sounds good. Tag a minor loyalty of, yeah, we're in this together.
Yeah, we're both, minor intimacy, loyalty, we're both in this together. And yeah, that's your blowout social roll. Actually, like, speed ran through 3 or 4 social intimacy rolls. That is the power of this new system.
Nice.
So now she has a positive opinion. Like, not only did you convince her to get what is arguably a deal tilted in your favor, you made her like you more. So yeah, there is probably a good, 5 to 10 minutes of haggling over the exact acreage and the exact positioning.
Exact
and
acreage.
trade rights, tariffs.
How much security payments, of course, because of course we are going to remain under the proper authority of the rightful owners of the land, Grey Falls, of course.
Loyal to the realm through the current administrative right of Grey Falls, etc.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, all of the proper payments to and such. Wiggling eyebrows.
All of this, just
I say getting a primo huge trade spot on a major river.
that is why there is enough initial, and you understand that she recognizes this, but also is basically cutting her loss of we don't have that land. That land is days away by boat. We're not going to get it anytime soon, and we might as well have someone who owes us a favor own that land right now.
And think of the tariffs that she can charge to go through her city.
Exactly. So basically, it is one of those things where you convince her, long term it would be better if you owned it, but right now you could basically have me on the hook and have me run the place and have all of the the risk, and you have the reward that it exists. And eventually she just drafts up a brief contract with you, and it's just hands it over to you. Full version will come in time when you have the full settlement down, but on behalf of House Sinus, I therefore agree to cede the land rights of the areas between, map designation and map designation, to House Beneath, beneficiary of therefore being Beneath Milan, administrated by Grey Falls, and thus Alcinous, and subsequently under the authority of the Scarlet Empire. Just keep going through all the legalistic details before handing over the contract and just giving a
And-
nod.
In turn, Milan is giving the same incredibly dry response of, in the name of House Venif, I do hereby accept this land, such and such, under the name of the realm.
Once it is all handed off and ready, there is just the kind of nod. Alright, so just let me know whenever you have it all set up and ready, and we'll start the proper dealings.
And with that, Milan has his land grant for his personal aid commune.
Yep.
Slash retirement home, because
Now
holy shit, Milan needs a vacation.
Milan needs like a 2 or 3 decade long sabbatical.
While they are having this wonderful conversation and debate and what have you, Angler is going to use Observer Awareness method, which totally exists, just to see if anyone has been listening in on this conversation for a while and is keeping an eye on the two of us.
Okay, Observer Awareness, would there be anybody who is listening? Now, the answer would be no. There's no one right now.
I didn't know.
I
how
actually
much
had to
you
stop
trusted
and think.
us.
I was stopping and thinking of it, the parties involved, and going, would they be willing to?
Well, that one guard was listening until we mentioned heaven, and then he noped right
Yeah,
out.
like that's probably the vibe you get if you had been checking regularly. Was like the guards had been casually eavesdropping, and then the moment the sheer scope of what was being discussed was like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to have nightmares. I don't want to have anxiety. I'm leaving.
Yeah, if someone was still listening in, Angler would probably like leap through the wall to grab him at this point. Just, hey, what are you doing? But
Yep.
unfortunately, no one is.
This is somebody else's problem field went into effect, and their brains went elsewhere.
Yep.
Yep, and that also is going to be the start of my background venture for Milan.
Yep. That is beginning of venture of land development. The creation just kind of keeps going down forever. So the mineral rights go down theoretically indefinitely, so long as you're willing to deal with the
How
horrible,
deep are you willing to
cripply
dig?
nightmares. Just dig deep, dig greedily. It'll be fine. Touch the fabulous prizes.
So speaking of other ventures, while I've
Yeah, you've got your own going.
other miscellaneous business that would be like checked off during the amount of time that Repose will continue to float around after this breakthrough is the Introductions project. Divine Introductions, getting Shea Khan and Madame Karst
So,
noted
Especially-
in local rosters and shaking
Especially-
hands with our normal points of contact.
now that you are in the territory of the Vigil, this is a extremely effective place to go around and start doing your initial rounds of introductions. And because of the local god and ghost density around here, this would be a much more formal way of introducing rather than the usual kind of just nudge, nudge, etc. And I'm going to just double check on the venture system. This is going to be a finesse embassy roll with a difficulty of 5.
Alright, and since I am in my backing area, I will go ahead and add my backing rating.
And I'll go ahead and give you a stunt dice for just that whole scene earlier can qualify as a stunt for this, frankly, because you would be like have a lot to work with.
Alright, let's just cash those in right away, and yeah!
All right, so that is 2 threshold successes over the venture, and a successful moving over the obstacle. I said there was 3 on this one, right?
I have 4,
Okay, so there was
of which
4.
1 was already completed.
Yeah, so this is 2 of 4, and
And
2
I
threshold
have-
successes on
Yeah,
top.
2 successes worth of advantage. Dig into.
And no consequences as of yet.
just keep that noted for later.
Right? Okay. That is the two major scenes of the split up done. There is one thing I would be able to do, at least in part. If Angler wants to go looking for birds again. Otherwise, kind of out of ideas unless you guys have other things you want to have on your plate.
Angler would take a moment after we finish up there, and the politeness and the usual bureaucratic nonsense that goes on for a while. And he would notify his investigation squad of, all right, these are the people we're going to be taking attention to, and go, scatter.
Yeah.
And then later on that night, he probably would go to a more secluded guardian area in the region, probably somewhere in the high quarter, since that probably has less people per square yard, mile, what have, and just kind of wait to see if a bird shows up.
Alright, roll the awareness roll again, this time difficulty 3.
Okay, that'd be 9. 6 successes.
It takes you about a half hour of waiting before you see not a Rhyton, actually. You are scanning the treetops and you are looking at the branches and you are looking for birds. And it strikes you all of a sudden that you see a rat actually going through just kind of scuttling around on the road between buildings, and there is a brief shimmer of star and moonlight, and you see the silver bruised Rhyton eye in the rat's eye as it stops and looks at you, just like, oh. Kind of pauses before turning and just kind of scuttling up to you and sitting up on its hind legs and just kind of looking at you.
I guess they would call Rhytons rats with wings, so the other way around works. Hello.
There is a kind of cracking noise as it tilts the head before there's like a kind of slight chitter of teeth as it decides whether or not it wants to try speaking in the form before a visible almost shrug before the body just balloons outwards into the form of Sun Manyon in front of you, rolling his shoulders. Wasn't expecting you here already, actually. Made good time.
We split our resources, and looks around and actually, again, uses observer awareness method to make sure nobody else is watching.
Nobody is.
Okay.
And that Guan is the one responding to the attempt for you to look.
Yeah. Which...
Trust me, I wouldn't have dropped the act if I knew somebody was watching.
Paranoia doesn't go away easily.
You're speaking to the choir.
I know, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, but before I forget, I am not used to this, so I apologize if I'm offensive. Who am I talking to? Like, which aspect?
He just holds up a hand for a moment. Right. I have to deal with you.
Thanks.
No, it's... There's a pause. Unless I tell you otherwise, assume that you are talking to the composite. There is no individual person that you are speaking with right now. We are all speaking through a general face that we are showing.
Okay.
We will let you know if there is anybody in particular who you need to be speaking with. Otherwise, just treat me as you did before you were gone.
Alright. I didn't want to be rude. Obviously, I found some information that I didn't want to and kind of feel I shouldn't have, but...
No, you didn't, but the moon decided it'd be funnier if you did.
And that's my fault.
Nah, not really. If Luna wanted to, Luna would have, even if you didn't ask. But this is just a shrug at that. Again, I appreciate the consideration, and it's just been a very long time since I've ever had to explain any of that. So, there's a shrug.
Okay. When we last spoke, I didn't have the right words to say when I said I wanted to be like you. I figured it out on the way here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like you. I just want to learn from your mistakes So when the next one of us comes along... No, let me finish. When the next one of us comes along, and there will be another, I can help them the way you help me.
Well, from how things are going, I will be around for the next one as well. And as for you learning from my mistakes, I understand the impulse and I can help you with that, but everything be willing, you will not be in a situation where you need to learn from the specific mistakes that I made.
Remember that paranoia thing we were just talking about?
Yeah, I get it. But also, you would have to be in a hell of a situation to have the same sort of weights on your shoulder.
What do you think we're dealing with right now?
You know, fair play. Come on, let's walk.
All right.
And he just starts casually walking down the street. And again, with your ability to see through the tell, the eyes are just kind of glowing dimly in the night light, even if you know that nobody else can see that but you. And you can see that they are in constant motion across rooftops, into alleys, along the ground, across reflections. There is not a single moment they are not scanning the environment.
Angler would intentionally, oh, I forgot to put that on the character sheet. We'll get back to that in a moment. Subdue his nightlight, his tendency just to glow. Sorry, I attract attention. It's kind of hard to turn that off.
Oh, whatever. I have a way of being not noticed, even if people are looking right at me, but he just kind of turns his head a little bit. So how exactly are you holding up?
Well, if you'd asked me that before the dreams, I would have said pretty well. But afterwards, since I seemed to pull my entire hearth into dreams, incredibly embarrassed.
That raises the... Oh, it got all of them, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Sybil didn't mention anything, and the rest of me didn't mention anything. What happened to them?
Some of it's some private business, but it seems to be the majority of us saw an aspect or a person we needed to talk to and work out some issues. So it worked out for the better, but...
There is just an exhale through the nose. Of course, she fucking...
Hmm?
No, nothing. Just kind of another turn to look over.
Okay, out of character thing to say.
Mhm.
Milan walks in and yells, "I told the most dangerous person in creation to fuck off!"
God.
Out of character.
If Milan does want to get involved in this scene, feel free, so it is not a monopolization of time. Yes or no?
Yeah, Milan can be there.
Yeah, Angler already said the important thing he wanted to, so at this point he's willing to listen.
So,
It probably would, since we went for a walk, Angler would probably have steered
To where
Guan
Milan
towards
was.
where Milan was, because Angler wanted to say his piece privately and make sure that no one got any kind of information about Guan beforehand, but is now willing to talk with anybody.
When the two of them meet up with Milan, Guan just nods the head. How you holding up?
slight paranoia, but
Looks up and down. It's enough to change that bad a dream, huh?
you ever do something you really regret?
No, not once in my entire pair of lives.
You ever tell the most powerful being you know to piss up the Great Mountain?
There's a pause. Alright, I need your scope, because my definition of most powerful being and your definition are probably considerably different.
I mean, I kind of indirectly did that to the moon about 3 days ago, but she laughed, so I think we're cool.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Now, this is more personal. This is... redder.
Hold up. Actual Scarlet Empress, or Scarlet Empress that lives in your brain and isn't the actual?
I thought one, but it might be the other. Drew a bow on her.
So you want my honest input on that one?
Yes,
Have you ever met her before?
I have.
Do you know your face?
I do.
How
Well, she does.
What was the impression you got on her? And what was the impression she got on you?
To be frankly honest, for a long time I idolized her.
Mm-hmm. She has that effect on people.
And now, this is going to be said in Windcarry words just to Sun. I wish to see her dead. No, actually, no. Me, Bradway, I don't like that line. I say to him, I despise what she did to us.
She also has that effect on people. So, just kind of thinks, looks up at the sky for a moment, looks back down. I can't promise nothing. I can't say whether or not that was any sort of link or anything, or if that was just you working on your own anxieties. But I'm gonna say that I would be willing to bet. He's like actually tracing up his arm with a pair of fingers until a little bit past the elbow on his bicep. About that much of my arm. I bet about that much of my arm that couldn't come back. That you would be probably the 300th or 400th person she's dreamed about trying to kill her and getting revenge for the same kind of thing.
Wonder how my grandmother and her sister feel.
Oh, if they were in the dream, that's a different question. But, I mean, I feel like if you're worried about the Scarlet Empress giving a fuck about what you think, he points, just kind of like very gently prods Milan in the chest. You underestimate exactly the level that she usually operates at. I stayed off the Blessed Isle for a reason. She would have paid attention to somebody like me, not you.
That's going to get at first a chuckle and then into a full-on laugh out of Milan.
She was, obviously, you were how many generations down? 3, 4? Closer than I am by a fair bit. You know her better than I do in that personal sense, but from an outsider's observance of the political machinations of stuff, she was a micromanager, all right, but she also knew what battles to pick and when to actually personally do something. So, like, hey, worst case scenario, if you did piss her off and she is out there somewhere and she does send some sort of deniable hit squad out to kill you, it's not gonna be her. It's just gonna be some random goon who stabs you in the middle of the night and has deniability.
That wouldn't be the first.
So yeah, like, hey, you get stabbed, might be her, might be your asshole cousin. You'll never know. Nothing has really changed in your life from my perspective. There is a kind of shrug at that as you realize that's the closest thing he can come to of thinking of comforting words. Is just like, yeah, something else wants to kill you. Okay?
And you know, that's almost kind of comforting for Milan.
Like,
yeah, as kind of messed up as that is, yeah, that's kind of a comfort.
Yeah, Angler would see this and go, and you see why I ask them for help from time to time. It's weird, but it works.
mm-hmm.
Also, turning over to Guan, your arms grow back?
You give him enough time and enough essence, and you a lot of pain, a lot of screaming. Yeah. It's not a trick I'm particularly good at, but I can do it if you put me under pressure.
Good to know.
Now, Bismuth would be able to grow it back while you were watching. I would push that issue, but there's kind of an exhale at that.
Angler
Still need to-
actually like pauses with the whole idea of the regeneration and is getting this like weird look in his eyes, but when he mentions how long it takes, he just kind of never mind.
I need to thank y'all again for being a different voice that he would be listening to from a different angle.
Much like with who we're hunting, sometimes voices from people you don't expect help.
Especially when, there's history.
Yep.
Two-way
Sometimes it's
street when you go talk to the bear, though. He's gonna apologize probably, but so does Sybil.
Oh, no, yeah, she's probably gonna be... Honestly, Sybil's probably gonna be alright with him. He's probably gonna be alright with her in his own way. It was never really the friction between the two of them. It was, well, a little bit. It was more...
he felt she didn't do enough.
There is a kind of heavy silence there for a moment. Yeah, that among other reasons.
Yeah, we picked up on that.
I'm surprised you said that.
It was a very charged couple days.
There is another pause before looking back at Angler. So what did he tell you about me?
Not too much precisely. Anytime I had a chance to have a real conversation with the bear, something came to interrupt it. However, he did mention that the two of you had been around and Sybil had been teaching the people to defend themselves.
She does.
Yep. And the two of you had a disagreement. And at that point, he pretty much cast the two of you out. And if
There is
Bradley remembers
another-
anything more than that, it's been a couple months, and I
Yeah,
don't
no,
remember
that's
all the
basically
details.
what you learned.
Yeah.
Aside from the one of the older names that he had of Thousand Eyes.
Oh yeah, I've already called him Thousand
Yeah.
Eyes, so he knows
Yeah.
that.
There's another pause. That's more or less what I expected. Interesting he'd go into detail on that one part. Other. Turns around and looks at Angler and then Milan. Focuses in on Milan again. There's just this brief thought process going on behind his eyes as he's looking at Milan in particular.
Yes.
This whole thing. The Abyssal. And all that. I was quite worried about it. I'm, again, happy that you pulled back on that, but there's still a moment of hesitation on it. That's really all he said to you about us.
I believe so, yes.
just looks up at the sky again and is looking at. It's about a half moon right now, so he's looking up at that and shaking his head, just like, fine. Looks back at the two of you. There is something that I feel like I do need to mention a little more directly. Especially given recent context on both bismuth, people manipulating bismuth, and whatever happened in the redoubt, as I was actually not paying attention at the time. I was busy.
That was. I'll be honest, I don't remember much.
Fair enough. Honestly, sometimes I wish I had a worse memory than I do.
That's actually going to get a grimace of discomfort out of Milan. I can't remember.
I'm sorry. That was.
It's
That's
all right.
myself. Do you happen to know where Obsidian is?
He's with repose at their temple.
Ah, I see.
Why?
Feel like he should be one of the ones, but I can tell you now, and I can tell him either later when I get over there or whatever. This year, communications or whatever.
I believe Obsidian should be heading this way shortly, so.
That boat of yours.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that I knew that it was a aberration of fate. He kind of scratches his chin and runs a hand across the front of his neck. That boat and I have a history. That's why I've kept a little bit of distance.
Were you the one to put the boat where it was found?
You. Not directly.
Not going to pry the issue out of you yet, because if it's that important of a thing, we should wait for Obsidian to get here. And also, probably should have that conversation with said boat.
That gets a whole body flinch out of Juan. Did they have a name now?
Onyx.
Onyx.
That's a good name. Yeah, I'll wait till they get it.
Probably for the best. The angler kind of snorts at this point and mutters under his breath enough that pretty sure that Guan could hear. Great. So he also did something stupid with the boat. It runs in the paranoid family. All right. They'll be here in how long? A few days?
Yeah, that would be like 3 or 4 days.
You best keep to a low profile. If we're going to do our job, we can't have you around causing us to be having an even worse time finding who we're here for.
He nods. Now, what I can do is I can leave this as a cliffhanger, or I can finish out the conversation tonight with
Cliffhanger,
to-
cliffhanger,
So
cliffhanger.
this is open to the players if you want this as a cliffhanger or not.
I'm good with cliffhanger.
Yeah, sure.
Progress was
I'm-
made today.
City?
So there is a bit of information that may change people's opinions on that. I won't be around next week.
Ah.
Boat lore?
Boat lore.
Let's do boat lore.
Okay,
Boat
so
lore.
3 days.
So yeah, about 3 days later, as the boat is docking, there is a general hustle and bustle at the docks of the people boarding and unboarding. And as the boat pulls up to the dock, Juan is observing from kind of the far end of the loading and unloading area. Just the sensation of somebody who is watching but does not want to get too close for some reason or another. And I'm assuming wind carried words had been used to alert the crew as to, hey, there is stuff that is going to go on.
If we have a guest who would like to talk, and it's Guan.
Okay.
Also, out of character, way back in like session 2, Guan got on Onyx to check out the artifacts, right?
Yeah, Juan and Sybil both got on in session 2. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
I-
wanted to make sure.
I don't think Onyx was active then.
Correct,
No,
but
no, it was not.
yeah, that's just something I wanted to make sure I had in my head.
So, Juan very carefully steps up towards the boat as Obsidian is up on the dock. And would Obsidian be getting off to meet him, or would Obsidian be, like, waiting for Guan to get on the boat? How would Obsidian be treating this?
I'm sitting
there-
and waiting for him to get on the boat.
There is about 10 feet.
Actually,
from-
no. Hold that thought. Was I told this was about the boat?
Yes.
Then yes, I would be waiting. If I wasn't, I would meet him. But if this is about the boat, we do this on the boat.
There is a pause about 10 feet from the gangplank down, as you can see his body just kind of lock, and you have... For those with the fear of heights, you know the sensation where you have to literally inform every muscle of your body to move? It's that. You can see him going through that of physically forcing every movement as he walks up onto the boat. And as the literal moment he steps off the gangplank onto the boat, he just totally freezes in spot. And the crew literally all turn to look at him as his breath leaves his body, and everyone else who had not been able to see his tail on the boat, thankfully, well, depending on your definition, did not see the he is faced away from the docks, so only the people on the boat can see that his eyes tail drops completely. And he is completely zoned out and listening to something, and Obsidian can feel through the Hearthstone the connection to Onyx, that Onyx is not mad, not excited, not happy, just in shock of just what?
Onyx.
I know. He's Alive? 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 Juan is trembling and has a hand on the railing of the ship, gripping white-knuckled.
All right, man. This is where I need to make a cheat sheet for charms.
While you're looking that up, real quick, Angler is going to walk up behind Guan, just being the next person up the ramp, put an arm on his shoulder, or a hand on his shoulder, and just kind of give a slow glance.
Immediate backhand through the elbow into your chest to get you away.
Yep, gonna take that hit and just absorb it and be there. Easy. And look at everyone else on the boat and say, back off for a moment. Like with his eyes, like it is not the time for you to be here.
That the entire crew goes below deck, and the thrumming from Onyx starts to go into the rest of the hearth on the boat. And you start to hear a chattering almost through the connection as it starts to level out. Yeah, I'm here. It's me. Onyx's voice. Why did you leave? Silence from Guan's end. And all he can do is, with one hand on the railing, the other is just gripping the front of his neck. Milan and Obsidian in particular roll me finesse and integrity.
Okay.
Where the heck is my character sheet? There it is.
So I believe it was the two of you that had these flashbacks. This information.
Finesse and what?
Integrity.
Okay.
Bear
with.
Ooh, I personally just remembered.
Oh, I have a very strong idea, which is why I was looking for things to roll, but again, I have charms and no fucking Okay. Let me remind myself. Yes, this is the thing I have not cleared out yet. I'm gonna make this roll. But instead, I'm gonna roll a finesse embassy.
Okay, what's the justification on it?
Do I and this character share an intimacy?
Yes.
Do I even need to make the roll?
No, actually. Specifically because it is related to the boat and you're going to be able to use that connection. And Milan, I'm going to say because you knew out of character and had such a strong reaction, and you were the character that had the strongest flashback. Hey, you remember that flashback with the point of view that ended in the throat being cut?
Yep. Milan's hand is going to go to the throat as well.
Alright.
Yeah,
Don't, because again, I need to make a cheat sheet of what all my fucking
that's
new
fine.
charms
So
do.
for Obsidian
But,
and for everyone else.
Go on.
Maybe
it would be in integrity. I don't know if I have a new charm that is for, like, would specifically be used for calming somebody down.
That would probably just be a social
Oh wait,
action if you don't have it.
intimacies. Intimacies are that. Is there anything that I have that uses utilizes for the virtue?
That's mostly solar charms that do that. from my
Okay.
memory.
I apologize. This is one of the main reasons I've been so quiet these last 2 sessions is because I did the new system is still
Yeah.
very far into me, and I don't know where I can actually chime in.
That's all right. In general, the rolling is similar. The charms are going to take some adjusting, and that's part of
Yeah,
the
just throw some raw
Precisely.
dice for now.
So you can just roll your raw dice for finesse or force and presence.
I'm gonna be honest. I am staring at the attributes and I'm forgetting what they represent.
Direct, deft, and stubbornness and
Are you being
endurance.
strong, wiggly, or other strong?
Direct, indirect, or patient.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Then I'm gonna do a. What is the exact action I want to take here?
You're trying to get
So yeah, so it's immediately as soon as I got the react. So I had guesses about what had happened here, but as soon as I got the reaction from Onyx, it was immediately a sort of it's that. Got it. Yes. So hold up. Where's my character sheet? There it is. This is going to be a very simple gesture of just one hand on the shoulder, one hand to the hand on the neck, and just a like, it's all right. Breathe, slow.
all right.
And just trying to actually loosen the hand that's on the neck, pull it away from the neck, and I'm thinking fortitude, presence.
Fortitude, presence with 2 dice for your stunt.
Okay.
You are able to basically not get hit for doing this and hit the hand off of his throat, but he is still very much bound up in himself. And for Milan and for everyone else in the audience, because this has been a while, that flashback of the history of the way back in the day original boat ended in the pilot of the boat, upon returning to the Blessed Isle and seeing the Solar be struck down, slitting their own throat. You found the reincarnation of the pilot of this boat.
Yes. Well.
That's the sheer muscle tension in the hand that you have pulled away.
I would say to Onyx, so sort of in the sense of like, this isn't the man, this isn't the person you, this is at the same time not the person and the person that you knew. What am
Onyx is more or less silent. But Guan takes a breath in and takes a breath out. Couldn't face it. And when I when I came back, this is an in-character pause. It felt like saying sorry was just going to be an insult. And that would be better if I just... If you didn't... If I... I was only going to hurt you again if I reminded you I existed. I thought I was gone in your brain, and all of that. And so I didn't. You saw what we were. You saw who we became. There is a marked silence from both of them before Onyx. There was a time where, if you had come back, I would have hated you. Or abandoned you. As I hated the dragons that took you from us. Took both of you. There was nothing. Almost nothing left. When these found me. And what has grown back does not hate you. It pities you. Are you truly so unable to move past this? Are you truly still stuck in the usurpation? And Guan is just silent. I understand why you did what you did. I do not think it was right, but I know why you did it. I have seen similar feelings from those who have been with me since I awoke again. But if you treat all of your pain, the only solution you have is to run away from it. You will run out of places in creation that have not hurt you. Juan just looks back up at Obsidian, looking like he has aged multiple decades in the course of that discussion, and just... whatever I would have said. Onyx put it far better.
I didn't catch that completely.
Whatever I would have said, Onyx put it far better than I.
Obsidian would nod, say something along the lines of, oh Lord. For what it's worth, you don't have to make yourself a stranger, though. They're part of my crew now. That doesn't mean that it's any less part of yours.
Any authority I have, don't deserve.
Darren, can I ask you to speak up a bit? The music.
Sorry,
Yeah,
my
you're-
microphone has been acting up a little bit. But he said any authority I might have had is something I don't deserve anyway.
No, that is a place where Obsidian would disagree with him. Now I understand that is personal feelings. I don't know if I need dice to roll against this, but
No,
no,
go
Obsidian would express sort of a what happened to you was out of your control, and all that you are guilty of is feeling emotion.
And abandoning someone who relied on you. No matter how I justified it to myself, I left.
Out of character. When he is referring to this, is he referring to not coming back to the boat after he reincarnated?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, he committed. He slit his throat at the scene of the solar bond dying, and when he reincarnated, did have the memory that he used to have that boat, but never went back because he was afraid of what he would find and afraid of what it would do to the boat. He realized this might be important for the boat, or it might make things worse, and I can't decide which is which. So I'm just going to not. I'm just going to pretend that I don't. Rather than confront the issue, just turn around and don't look at it. And by the time he had second thoughts about it, it felt like it was along the lines of like, well, I was an asshole for long enough that anything I say or do now would be cheap.
A simple response of regardless of how long it took, you're here now. You could have just never faced this, but you finally decided to go ahead and do it without any idea of what would happen.
Figured if Luna put the rest of you through your paces, that I decided that I might as well do it to myself.
And Obsidian would just gesture, hands in the air. Does that make us any different? But the long and short of it is, it's not truly what I feel on the matter, and would, in a sort of gesture, smack the mass of the matter isn't what they feel.
And I believe I have made my opinion on the matter clear. If you are worried about my hatred, then I have none. I have pity, confusion, a wish that it had gone a different way, perhaps. But one cannot undo what has been done. So one must simply live with what has been done. Go forward.
And honestly, I couldn't have put it better myself.
For lack of a better term, Guan is just kind of corn-cobbed at that response, and is probably not going to be very verbose, very talkative after that. Just would probably just go into a communion with Onyx for a while to both try and make amends and also catch up. Is currently in the try not to cry step of lie down, try not to cry, cry a lot.
Would, let him on the boat find a place for him to sit. Let him go through his things.
You're wasting kindness on a man who doesn't deserve it. On a man.
Once again, that's where you're wrong. Until proven otherwise, everybody is deserving of kindness. Points at major virtue of compassion.
No, that was an in-character statement from Guan.
Yeah.
That was an in-character statement from Obsidian.
Until the moment of pointing to a virtue, because that can't happen.
Yes.
And with that, yeah, I think that's a good place to stop.
All right, final punctuation mark to throw onto that.
Sure, go ahead.
At whatever moment that it seems like Guan is starting to rally a little bit out of his funk, Repose will immediately have slid into his peripheral vision, hang there ominously for a moment. He has spent this entire sequence very slowly peeling an apple, just moving imperceptibly slowly through it.
Guan just kind of looks up with the expression of a cornered bird looking at a cat, just like, do what you must.
He will then, with an abrupt flick, be done peeling the apple, just kind of toss it in front of him, and then while he is puzzling over that, take out the idol of Shea Khan that he has built. That has been appropriately, marked up with all relevant naming and contact information. Your wife makes weapons. Show of idol in his direction.
He does.
Place idol. It is labeled and marked up with
Okay,
the full
okay, so
name
it is
here.
a full actual. He looks at it. I see. Yeah, she'll be quite excited to meet this one, I believe. Yeah, I'll let her know.
And just kind of turn that into a third scene of divine introductions. Because, hey, there's one of the other important
this is
factions
just
to
go
have
ahead
pointed
and
this god at.
just go ahead and actually just clear the obstacle immediately with 3 threshold successes on this one. Just because, yeah.
And so at this point as well, just to have it stated there, so I feel like the payout that I'm looking for tangibly from having done this is that Shea Khan will provide the small amount of jade appropriate for doing the sword project.
Yeah, that's absolutely viable, yeah.
Just miracle that up.
And with that, I believe we can call it a session. Next time,
That's a session.
adventure. Further venturing, further finding of crime, further, progression of goals.
Huzzah.
Huzzah!
Ventures.
Oh wait,